Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. All right, let's do things differently this time. Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Massive thanks to our friends at Sony Pictures Canada for letting us watch this movie early for review. My name is Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast focusing on the world of movies, TV shows, games, toys, and collectibles, and all things Geekcentric. Now, joining me in the Spider Geek Society for this review, we have Justin, the Spider Dad Lawrence.
Oh yes, I would definitely be the Spider Dad. Those scenes had me in just in all the right feels, man.
Dude, you were crying at moments where I was just like, oh yeah, he's a dad. Okay, I get it.
It does change your perspective. Let me tell you, it does really change your perspective.
We'll see, maybe one day. And swinging in alongside him, he's a big fan of the Mary Jane. He's Darcy, the Dank Spider Hudson.
I was wondering how you're going to open it. Never thought of that. Don't know why. Maybe I've used too much Mary Jane.
It was in your face the entire time.
Right
man.
there. Yeah.
Right there.
Oh. Dude, you guys, I think, we're joking about the dankness of the Spider-Man, but I think, Darcy, you'd make a great Spider-Man. You're good with the science stuff. You're good with the chemistry. And then, Justin, I think you've got the photography side down. And I guess the dadness of it all after watching this movie. For myself, though, I wanted to ask both of you, if you guys want to chime in, what would I be good at as a Spider-Man?
Well, you're pretty quippy.
Yeah, the quips. I think you got the quips locked and loaded.
Beautiful.
You're smarter with the quips than I'll ever be with quips. You know funny pretty well, Nate. So I think together, we make one solid Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All of the different
so.
attributes distributed. It's like the multiverse pulled apart one Spider-Man and made three, and that's us. That makes sense. I like that.
We're killing it. Dude, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I fully expect you guys to say something like, you'll be like the Spider-Man of the couch or something like that, like swinging around on a couch, watching shows and movies. But, let's, I'm stoked to thwip into this review and talk about all this stuff, because we left the theater buzzing. It was a fan event that we got to go to, and it was, nobody wanted to leave. Everybody just wanted to stay in the theater so they could talk about it. I think the movie let out. I don't think there was anyone else in the theater besides the people that attended our screening, both press and fans. And there was such an energy in the room. But listen, if you, for some reason, if you've opened up this podcast, or you've caught this podcast and you're in your web, and you don't know what this movie is about, let's do this one last time. Miles Morales returns for the next chapter of the Oscar-winning Spider-Verse saga. Spider-Man, every time I read it, I just want to say Spider-Man! Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. After reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is catapulted across the multiverse, where he encounters the Spider Society, a team of spider people charged with protecting the multiverse's very existence. But when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders and must set out on his own to save those he loves most. Anyone can wear the mask. It's how you wear it that makes you a hero. The movie is directed by Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. It was written by Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and David Callahan, and stars Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Luna Lauren Velez, Jake Johnson, Jason Schwartzman, Issa Rae, Karan Soni, and with Daniel Kaluuya and Oscar Isaac. The movie THWIPS its way into theaters June 2nd, which is tomorrow if you're listening to this on the day we've posted it. Technically, there will be screenings this evening, at least in Canada, or I don't know, everywhere, I'm sure. But guys, let's get into this. I am going to just kick us off because, no one's going to tell me how to do what I do, okay? I'm just going to do my thing. It's a very big theme in the movie. And I'm going to tell you right now that after Into the Spider-Verse, I couldn't imagine a more creative, visually stunning, and detailed love letter to Spider-Man and Miles Morales. But thank goodness the team behind this movie absolutely could and did, because this movie somehow exceeds what came before it, and I still can't believe what we just watched. Like, I can't, my mind is still kind of processing it, and we've already, it was how many hours ago?
Yeah, I know. I was dreaming about it when I got home, and I kept like seeing moments in my dreams, and just the web slinging moments or the action moments. There's just so much that will leave you in awe. But I think we were saying this as we got out of the theater. If they wrote a book for Into the Spider-Verse of how to do things, Across the Spider-Verse takes that book and throws it out the window and does it differently. Yeah. Right? Which is sort of the first sentiments we hear. Let's do this differently. Mm-hmm. And it feels entirely connected to what we got from Into the Spider-Verse, but inherently new as well. It is so refreshingly different, and it pushes the boundaries. It really does evolve the story of Miles Morales even further, both from a narrative standpoint and a visual standpoint. It's outstanding.
Yeah, it's definitely a more mature story too, right? I mean, Miles is growing up. He's 15 now. He's yearning for that freedom to just be himself, to do his own thing, to finally be Spider-Man. And I think the first movie, he was discovering who he was, and this, he's exploring that further, but his parents are kind of holding him back. And I think this movie's also a story about parenthood, not just between Miles and his parents. I think Gwen and her dad get a lot of focus, and even a bit of Peter and his daughter with Mayday, who was just so delightful. I loved how the themes of parenthood played such a strong role in this movie, because how could they not? The theme is so intrinsically linked with the character of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
Miles's family is very important to him. So there's a lot of family moments that are very integral to the overall narrative. But this is the overarching theme that all Spider-Men and Spider-Women have to deal with, and that's identity and understanding who they are behind the mask and who they are to their family and friends, and how those two differ. And I think we see that unfold in a multitude of ways, with family being at the center of it. I think the narrative very much weaves a captivating web of intrigue and emotions. It delves into the complexities of the multiverse while it's introducing alternative versions of the characters that we love. It's also exploring the consequences of their actions. And I think that is so pertinent to the hero's journey. Like you said, the first movie is about how he discovers himself as the hero. Mm-hmm. This is a follow-up. This is the journey of Miles as he becomes more comfortable with his powers and understands what he's losing and what he's gaining at the same time. I think it's you said it's darker. It takes a more mature turn. It's diving into themes of loss and identity, like I was saying, and that burden of the responsibility. It's a burden of being this hero. And despite the dark tone, I do have to say the narrative retains a very heartfelt core that I think highlights the strength and resilience of Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you keep talking about Miles Morales, but I think what I like most about the narrative for this movie is that it really split the focus between Miles and Gwen. So we got a lot of like both sides of the same coin, basically. Someone who has gone through this and has had the powers for a while and has seen these consequences. And then again, Miles, getting to that stage and trying to make the decision, how do I go forward type thing. I thought it was really well done and really cool to show, again, the differences between these two heroes. But despite them both being spider people, they have the same backstory. They've made different decisions, and
yes,
and how those decisions affect the greater good and their people, again, their family, their friends. It's really cool. This story was so captivating from start to finish.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I love that. It starts off with Gwen. We dive right into her story. And I think as these narratives unfold and as we see the parallels between them, seeing both of their stories, it challenges our perception of what it means to be a hero. It kind of invites us to reflect on the choices that, these heroes make and the impacts that they have on their own lives and their own relationships. So I think it's like you're saying, like they're different, but there's parallels, right? Like there's so many different parallels. And I think that's the multiversal quality at the same time, right?
Well, that's just it. I mean, in order for them to make a movie that is about a multiverse of spider people, we need to see those similarities. Of course, we know sort of the standard story of Spider-Man, but there's, as you said, Justin, there's subtle differences in all of them. But then at the core, they all have these sort of main line canon moments that sort of have to happen. And I really dig how this movie kind of dives into that aspect of the story.
It explains the multiverse really clearly.
Really well.
It's unique to this movie, but it's also very meta at the same time.
But I would even argue, Justin, and again, I don't want to get into too much spoiler, but like I would even argue that this works on the level with the MCU. You know what I mean? Like I can see it as the same thing in a sense. They did a better job of it, but I think it totally works if they wanted to sort of seamlessly weave these two universes together, in my opinion.
You're hoping they do.
I hope they do. I really do. Dude, I wanted to shout out as well the action sequences are so creative and so well done in this movie. All the characters, just like how they have their own visual style, and we're going to talk about visuals in just a second, but just how they have their own visual style, they also all have their own movement
technique,
and fighting styles, and they move around on the screen so fluidly.
Yeah.
There were so many moments that I had to keep reminding myself that this was something that people made. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm watching it and I'm just like, people made this happen. It's not like I'm just seeing it. I just kept getting so lost in it and so captivated by the movement and the way that they moved in this movie. It's exactly what you'd want out of a movie like this. It's so original, but it's also, for any other team, it would be so easy for them to fumble how ridiculous some of the things that you're seeing could be, but they don't. They don't drop the ball for even a second. And I was just never taken out of that world. It was absolutely phenomenal.
You're talking about how it looks and all the action moments. And I was watching the movie, I was remembering playing through the Insomniac Spider-Man game and how just moving around in that game made you feel like Spider-Man. I feel like this movie does the exact same thing where the movement and action, you feel like you're you're swinging along right beside Gwen and Miles as they're, fighting all the bad guys and stuff. And it's incredible. I mean, the fact that, like you said, people had the vision to make this and pull it off to such an extent is just phenomenal. The visuals and the action in this movie are incredible.
It's magic.
Yeah, I think it's also the power of animation. How it's leveraged. Like so many different things that you see, through the action sequences, through the web sling. It's all thanks to the power of animation and what is possible, right? Like you think about it, it's like, yeah, you could do that in live action, but then it just looks like a CGI mess, right? And who knows if you get the same sense of fluidity, and you're watching an animated movie and they're pushing the boundaries so much visually that even in the action, it's one of the many ways that animation shines in this movie.
And I'll be honest with you, like I think not since Into the Spider-Verse have I had another animated movie make me, my mind was fighting for the thought of, I want this movie to keep moving because it's so fluid, and I want this movie to stop moving because I just want to pause and see every single frame of this movie. It is so artistically beautiful that there's so many moments where I was just like, I want that on the screen. I want what's on the screen on my walls, in my room, everywhere, plastered. I want it tattooed on my body. I just want all of it. And I have to apologize, Justin, because you were sitting right next to me, and there were just so many moments where I was just gasping out loud at just moments of stillness, just characters sitting together and looking at the city and just, it was like I was walking through an art exhibit, and there's that feeling, and for anyone who appreciates art and just, I mean, appreciates spectacle, let's say, we'll bring up that word. And when you turn the corner and you see sort of the showpiece that's on display in the center of the art exhibit. It's like that's the piece that they want you to pay attention to. It was like that, except it was happening over and over and over again throughout the entirety of this movie. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think this is a work of art. It's a mesmerizing work of art. I think, from the very first frame, it's evident that the creators and the animators pushed the boundaries of animation to new heights. And, the distinct visual styles of each of the Spider characters sort of, very much collide in a symphony of artistic expression. It's demonstrating the versatility and endless creativity of the animation team, of what they were able to achieve. And I just feel like each frame was meticulously crafted as a work of art. It immerses the audience in a visually rich experience you will remember for years to come. You will be changed after you see this. It is such a vibrant experience.
Yeah, I mean, I know after Into the Spider-Verse, a lot of people were saying that was the best comic book movie, and I feel like this one takes that to the next level, and that no other comic book movie will be able to embrace the varying art styles of the comics and just bring that to the screen so flawlessly. The fact that we're seeing these different worlds and art styles and all this stuff going by so quickly, but at the same time, if you're reading comics by different artists, you'll be getting the same thing where it's the same characters just drawn differently or with a different interpretation. And again, the way that they bring it to the screen is so exciting, because as a comic book fan, I'm noticing all these little things, and the art style swapping just makes you feel like you're picking up a different issue that's from a different artist but in the same storyline. It's so enjoyable.
And there is a lot going on, like you said, Nate. Like, there is so much that you want to pause and just pull apart every little detail that's there visually, and as well as Easter eggs. And I think that's part of the frantic, energetic nature of the movie. But like at the same time, it's not something that you're just you won't catch everything in your first watch. You can't.
Not only because there's so much on screen, but even
it's on
points
screen
where
for not long, right?
Sure,
like things
but
are
there's
flashes.
There's even moments where there's multiple
frames,
comic book panels moving and happening at the same time. And just to your point, Darcy, about comics, like, I'm definitely not as invested in comics as much as you are. I hope to be maybe one day when I grow up. But I will say, like, and I'm sure you noticed and appreciated, I love the little, I'm not sure exactly what you would call them, but I guess the little squares of dialogue that would appear to either tell you the location, or a character would say a word and then it would have an explanation of what that word means. And I was just like, I literally was, I was reading this in Miss Marvel. Like, I love how they
that is a
managed to do
staple
that.
of comic books, is
So
the little
good.
text blocks that do the info dumps that you need to know, and if you haven't followed every issue, which is fantastic, because there's so much out there, it's impossible to read everything. And the fact that this movie knows that they've put so much in this movie, and that why not add to the comic book and just give that little text box so that people can know without going to a secondary source. It's so refreshing. I love it.
So much fun. And I think even again going back to visually, like Gwen's world, for instance, is I think my favorite visually. Yeah, I mean, I love how the characters are even shaded in different colors based on their moods, right? Like they'll be blue or they'll be red, or how if a character was sad or if it was raining, the watercolor is literally like dripping.
It wasn't even raining. It was the emotions, right? Like the background evolved based on the emotions of the moment, right? And I think that was what's so great. Like you could see detail in the background in some scenes, but then as the emotions unfold through the dialogue, they suddenly disappear, and it's just colors, and it's just an array of colors, and the colors match the emotion, and it's so painterly and it's so beautiful. And I love that, in a lot of ways they shift the colors, right? Like suddenly, you'll see Gwen in her standard costume outfit, but then suddenly they'll cut to her father, then they'll cut back to her, and her silhouette's changed, her eye colors changed, her costume.
They've inverted her suit.
Exactly. It's been inverted, and it's all in the respective mood and tone for the moment. It's not just the aesthetics of the characters. The space is treated in such an artistic way that it really does feel like this is a work of art. It's not just animation. It's above animation in a lot of ways, because it's of what it's leveraging in the nuances of storytelling.
Well, and I love that the we look at like, for instance, like when Mondo would release posters, you know how they would do like variants, right? So you'd have like an inverted color one, or you'd have a holographic one. I love that we get that in a visual medium, in a moving visual medium is so cool. I also want to shout out the music. I think Daniel Pemberton and Metro Boomin did a phenomenal, outstanding job. And the same way that the various visual styles are seamlessly blended together, so is the music. And I was so impressed that, with the way that each character in each world sonically felt different, while at the same time they still work together to fit within, like, this is the same Spider-Verse movie that you're watching. I honestly cannot wait to just constantly have there was, I think at the time that we're recording this, there's one track released. I've not stopped listening to it. It's just hello, my name is Miles Morales, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
I was a huge fan of Daniel Pemberton's original score for Into the Spider-Verse. I was actually like listening to it on repeat all week leading up to the screening of this movie. And much like that movie, Across the Spider-Verse features an exhilarating symphony that matches the energy and tone of the film. It effortlessly blends genres from, the adrenaline pumping electric beats to very soulful melodies. And I think, you use the word, creating a sonic landscape that perfectly complements the dynamic visuals that we're seeing and the intense storytelling. It works really, really well with elevating all of it. It's infectious, it's evocative, it elevates it to new heights, and I think it leaves an imprint on your senses as you're sort of enchanted by the cinematic experience. It's one of the killer elements that works among so many elements in this movie.
Yeah. Well, and I think the cast is another one of those elements. I think Shameik Moore is so natural as Miles in this. He's so confident in this, and you can hear how he himself has grown even further with this character.
Yeah, there's a level of authenticity and relatability that is expertly portrayed by Shameik. I think he effortlessly captures the essence of the character. But you said it, Darcy. The real star of this movie is Gwen Stacy, played by Haley Steinfeld. I think she delivered some standout performances that breathed new life into the character, outside of how we were introduced to her as just sort of a multiversal character that was sort of an assist. Here we're fully diving in and exploring her character in this movie. And, Haley brought it with her voice performances, and she's a fantastic voice actress.
She's she's fantastic at everything.
At a certain point, we have to also remember, like, we say voice acting because obviously they're not physically on screen, but they're acting. They are acting, and
they actually had the opportunity. Sorry, they did have the opportunity to act together in the booth this time around, which is awesome.
Yes, which is great because they could actually feed off of each other, and you love that. Like you get a more natural response. But I think every character that talk about, like, I love Oscar Isaac.
That was a standout for me. He was incredible.
I think he was incredibly intense, but he also matched the tonal qualities of Peter Parker, if that makes sense, like in his voice, right? Like in the sense of like how he had the sarcastic tones, right? But he was also very intense at times as well, right?
Again, intensity was the one word I just used to describe Oscar Isaac's performance, because he brought so much to this character that we are just introduced to, and while still, again, staying true to that Spider-Man lore where he quips occasionally in the movie and stuff like that, but what you remember after leaving the movie is those scenes where he is just full on intense and just in your face and is this threat almost to Miles and his way of life. And I just thought it was so well done. Again, that's walking out of that movie. I'm like, I want to watch it again just to see his performance, because again, Miguel is such an intense character, and there's so much depth to it, and we're just barely scratching the surface of this movie, I feel like.
Hearing you guys talk about this, it's making me long for a Spider-Verse where in the Tobey Maguire movies with Spider-Man 3, where we actually got like this portrayal of dark, Venom suit Spider-Man, like, would have been amazing.
Yes.
But no, Oscar Isaac he's a beast in this movie, and he's so scary. Yeah. But one thing I love that they do is they help you understand his motivations so well by building in the exposition into his character interactions and the dialogue. Like they didn't have to give him a lengthy monologue out of nowhere. It actually mattered why he was explaining, what he was doing. And I just thought it was so well done. I also want to just shout out Luna Lauren Velez and Brian Tyree Henry as Rio and Jefferson. They are so incredible in this, and we get to see more of them. And I think you mentioned earlier, Darcy and Justin, the how we get a good amount of time with Miles, we get a good amount of time with Gwen. I think the entirety of this cast, for the most part, we got to get a decent amount of time with them, and we got more of the parents in this movie, and I loved them so much. I'm so happy that both of them got moments to shine and express themselves and express, they're not just the hero's parents, they're their own characters, and they're struggling with their son growing up, and we get to see that in them. And it's just another way that the writers got this big ensemble cast and the balancing between them so right.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and I think they're very integral to the story. We get some great time with them, and we get to see, as you said, them having to let go of Miles, like having to let him grow up, and not being able to fully understand him, right? But we also see the other side of Miles wanting to try to reach out to his parents, and what that looks like. But I think, to your point, Nate, I think everyone had their time to shine. If we think of the Spider people that we got featured, we saw Spider-Punk, played by Daniel Kaluuya, right?
So good.
Who
so
was
cool.
He was so badass.
So great.
I loved him.
I will
was
never
hilarious.
be as cool as him. I don't think anyone on this entire planet will be as cool.
And it's funny because he's so cool, and he was so funny, and without even trying, right? Because I think the audience reacted more to his sort of punk lifestyle, if you will, as absolute hilarity. Jake Johnson coming back as Peter B. Parker. I loved it. He's in full dad mode. You said it, Nate. Like, I totally connected with him. I love when he's like, there's a moment when he's like, you want to see pictures of her? Well, she's right here. Well, you got to see these pictures of her.
Justin, you were literally doing that on the car ride over.
I know.
Like
I think I was doing it right before
the movie started. Yeah.
I was showing you pictures. And then I really, really enjoyed Karan Soni's Spider-Man, Pav. He was so eccentric. He was so vibrant. His world was incredible. Like, honestly, I think next to Gwen's world, I think Mubatan was definitely top. The voice acting is so consistent. There's relatability. There's commitment. There's not a character voice being portrayed here, and that even for Jason Schwartzman's Spot,
so good.
It's so funny,
good.
right? Like, he just leans right into it, and I absolutely loved that. Like, again, when you get these animated movies, sometimes they can take themselves serious and be more adult, right? And sometimes they can be a little more slapsticky and humorous. And what's really great about Across the Spider-Verse, much like Into the Spider-Verse, is that there's a delicate ballet between both. By taking itself seriously, being mature, having really heartfelt emotional moments, but then embracing the medium of animation and being slapsticky. And I think that, like, the first interaction with Miles and Spot is fantastic. It was so hilarious.
So good.
Well, I think Spot actually, everything you just said about that balance of slapsticky, goofiness.
He embraces it.
He's a bumbling loser, but at the same time, he's a terrifying bad guy. And I was willing to overlook sort of his standard villain motivations, if you will, because I just enjoyed his arc throughout the movie so much, and the way that they explain his character and the way that they bring him in. Again, he's a character that's very original, but also one of those things where that could take you out of a movie like this if it's not done properly. Darcy, I mean, I'm not as familiar with Spot. Did they get the character right? Is he a comic book character? Is he an original character?
He is a comic book character,
okay.
And in the comics, he is mostly a joke. And the direction they've taken him in this movie, I will say, is a divergence from the norm.
Okay.
So it's a great divergence, though. They made this joke character into, again, like you said, a real potential terrifying villain. So yeah, loved it.
So good.
The one last cast that I want to call out is Shea Wingham, who plays George Stacy, Gwen's father. He really did bring an emotional resonance to his character, because we do see sort of a range of emotions from that world, and in those moments. And I think he really leaned into it. Again, this is, none of the voice actors are putting on a voice or putting on a character. They're just acting, right? And the animators are animating to those voices and to those little nuances, right? Like, it's those little moments that you can see the animators had fun with what the actors gave them with their voices, and they really brought that to life on the screen. So, the whole cast just really leaned into it.
Well, and speaking of a range of emotions, I know I teared up a little bit, but Justin, I mean, again, and I think this is the whole baby brain of your dadness coming out. Between Guardians and this, I've heard you just do the like so many times now. I'm very happy about it, because I've been singled out as the only crier of the group here.
Well,
so
okay, I'm
very happy.
First off, it's just, it pulls at your heartstrings, right?
Yeah.
And I think because I have a child now, there's so much more that I can connect with. Like, I can connect to both Miles' story as someone who had similar problems with their parents growing up, trying to figure out who I was in relation to what they wanted me to be.
Sure.
And then I think on the same side, I can understand where the parents are coming from, in that you just want the best for your kid.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Stan Lee, and everyone who's written these characters and created these characters, and Steve Ditko, and they made these characters for that exact reason, Justin. They made these characters initially for us to connect on a human level with each other, to have conversations. And the fact that this is just an evolution of that, a beautiful evolution of that, is so gorgeous. And I love that these are the kind of things that we're talking about after watching a Spider-Man movie. So let's get to our overall thoughts and final score for this movie, which we're going to be rating on a scale of 1 to 5 Spider People. And Justin, I'm going to have you kick us off.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you can't tell, I thoroughly loved this movie.
You did?
Get out.
Get
out.
It's a masterpiece that left me in awe. The animation is nothing short of breathtaking, pushing the boundaries and redefining what is possible on the big screen. And each frame is a visual feast with stunning artistry that effortlessly transports you into the multiverse. The story does take a darker turn and explores complex themes, yet remains deeply heartfelt with a focus on family. It's a testament to the exceptional writing that manages to balance the weight of the narrative and genuine emotional moments. I think anyone who watches this is going to relate to the stories of any one of the characters that you see on screen. And speaking of characters, like we said, the performances across the board are outstanding. But huge shout out to Shamika Moore and Haley Steinfeld for really being the balance and showing us similarities and differences between these two characters. And I don't know, I think each performance is so nuanced, and it feels, again, relatable to who these characters are. They breathe new life into these beloved heroes. The music, it's a symphony of adrenaline and emotions. It's pulsating beats perfectly accompany the exhilarating action sequences, while the soulful melodies tug at your heartstrings in very emotional moments. It's a journey in itself that elevates every moment. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is undoubtedly the best movie of 2023. I think it effortlessly weaves together exceptional animation, a dark yet heartfelt story, incredible performances, and mesmerizing music. It's a cinematic triumph that will have you swinging out of the theaters with pure joy. You will be smiling. I was smiling the entire time. I was giddy. I was a little teary-eyed and maybe crying a little bit, Nate.
A lot.
But this has me excited for the next chapter in Beyond the Spider-Verse. So yeah, I'm giving this one 5 out of 5 Spider People. This was my most anticipated movie for 2023, and it did not disappoint. So yes, 5 out of 5 Spider People.
Dope. Yeah, this was your most, I think, in our year.
This and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
This and the
Do you think TMNT has a chance after this?
It does.
Yeah?
It probably could, but I don't know. Like, again, there's a complexity to this that's different to that, right?
Okay.
So I think TMNT Mutant Mayhem has the ability to be similar to that of Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
A really good origin story, a really good story that sets up these heroes. Across the Spider-Verse is continuing the trajectory of Into the Spider-Verse.
It's kind of an unfair fight. I get it.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is The Empire Strikes Back, right?
There you go. Darcy, how about yourself?
Well, I mean, we just spent the last 40 minutes talking about how much we like this movie, so I don't think I need to say much other than this is the best comic movie of all time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll change by the time Beyond comes out, but this is a true love letter to the medium that spawned these characters and all these stories, and the way that it's masterfully told with this narrative, with these actors, the action, everything about it was just 10 out of 10. So this is an easy 5 out of 5 Spider People.
There you go. Yeah, I think this movie is for so many people. Like, this movie is for so many people. And what I mean by that is, yes, it's a love letter to all things Spider-Man, but it's also to all things comic book, to all things art, to all things music. And that's such a a wide array of things to be interested in that I really have a hard time understanding how anyone wouldn't enjoy this movie. And even at times to Miles' Afro-Puerto Rican culture, there's a good amount of that imbued into the movie as well, so naturally. And I wanted some of that food. It gets so much right. And I wanted every frame of this movie on my wall in my house. It's such a beautiful piece of art, and I'm still taking in the visual mastery that was this movie. I have no idea how they managed to exceed what they did the first time around, and I have no idea how they're going to do it again with Beyond the Spider-Verse, but they managed to give us not only the best Spider-Man movie, not only the best looking movie I've ever seen, not only the best movie of the year, but as you said, Darcy, the best comic book movie to date, which is mind-blowing for me because I'm like, Endgame, they did it. Okay, wrap it up. We're good to go home. I think I'm over the moon with this movie. I loved it so much, obviously. I'm giving Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse an absolute 5 out of 5. Spider People, what an achievement of a film. And a massive thank you and congratulations to anyone and everyone involved with making it.
Yes, I just wanted to say, this is a team effort, right? A huge shout out to Joaquin DeSantos, Kent Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. They are the directors who steered the ship. But a huge shout out, like you said, Nate, to the thousands, and literally it's thousands of animators.
There were more animators on this than there were Spider-Men in the film.
Exactly. And
that's a lot.
The team that is behind this, the animation team that put the effort, that put their heart, their soul, their blood, their sweat, whatever they put into this, it pays off. It jumps off the screen, and all the love should be given to that entire team behind those directors as well, with the directors obviously keeping the course and steering the ship. And, it's clear, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, they've invested their energy in the right places. And yeah, this movie will have you swinging, man. I'm telling you.
I can't wait to see how much they swing at the Oscars. But that is it for this review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever I'm just going to do that voice forever now. Subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this movie or any of the movies or shows we cover, well, let me swing you over to Justin to let you know how you can reach us.
THWIP.
There we go.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter at geekcentricyt or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, we have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies and TV shows, including our spoiler-free reviews for American Born Chinese Season 1. Go watch that show. If you like action and you like some of the action in this movie, go watch that show. Some fantastic action there. Disney's Little Mermaid, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fast 10, and Star Wars Visions Volume 2, all of which are available on podcast service of your choice. We also have a ton of interviews out now, like our most recent interview with Sophie Thatcher from The Boogeyman, as well as our interviews with Chakudi Awuji and Sean Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You can catch those interviews, again, on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. So make sure you subscribe to us to keep up with all the great stuff we got coming at you. That's the summer of movies. I'm going to call it it's a hot geek summer. We've also got a lot to look forward to, including our coverage of Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Pixar's Elemental, and so much more. And lastly, speaking of Elemental, we do have a giveaway happening over on our socials. We've partnered with our friends at Disney Studios Canada to give away some tickets for you and a friend to see Disney and Pixar's Elemental early on June 14th. We'll be giving out tickets to screenings across Canada. So go check out our socials, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment, do all the things. There's going to be full details on our socials as to how to enter for that giveaway. Justin, Darcy, thank you so much for joining me for this web slinging review. How many times are we going to say slinging? And as we say, Excelsior, and love ya.
Laters.
Peace.